High above the city, perched on cold stone towers in crumbling cathedrals, they stare down with hollow eyes, twisted faces frozen in eternal screams, wings outstretched, mouths agape, claws ready to strike. They were built to ward off evil. But what if the evil was already inside them? Tonight, we descend into the shadows of history to uncover the truth about these stone demons. From ancient waterspouts to supernatural guardians, from medieval legends to modern hauntings, these creatures carved from stone may be more than just decoration. Some say they only move when no one is watching. Others say they never stopped watching us. Welcome to Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast, Season 3, The Lotus Files. File number 003, Gargoyle. I'm your host, Michael, and I hope you're ready for this ancient truth. Gargoyles are some of the most haunting and mysterious architectural features in history. Often seen perched on Gothic cathedrals, looming from rooftops with monstrous faces and wings outstretched. But their story blends practical engineering, religious symbolism, and supernatural lore. The historical origins of gargoyles began as functional architectural elements, originating in ancient civilizations, most notably in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. These early prototypes were essentially decorative waterspouts, designed to direct rainwater away from the sides of buildings. This prevented erosion of the masonry. The word gargoyle comes from the French gargouille, meaning throat or gurgling. It refers to the sound water makes as it passes through the stone creature's open mouth. Through the 12th to 16th century, it was during the rise of Gothic architecture in medieval Europe, particularly in France, that gargoyles evolved into the grotesque and fantastical forms we know today. Notable examples include Notre Dame de Paris, whose iconic gargoyles date to the 13th century. While their physical purpose was plumbing, their symbolic purpose was far darker and more powerful. First, they were guardians against evil. In medieval Christian folklore, gargoyles were believed to ward off evil spirits. Their terrifying appearances were thought to scare demons, witches, and other malevolent forces away from the sacred spaces. 2. Manifestations of sin. Some interpretations suggest that gargoyles represented the sins and evils of mankind. Visible warnings to churchgoers of what awaited them should they stray from God's path. By placing monsters outside, the church reinforced the idea that salvation lay within. Number 3, pagan roots. Gargoyles may also draw from pagan traditions, where creatures like dragons, chimeras, and animal spirits were protectors of the earth or temples. Christianity often absorbed these pagan symbols into its own iconography, repurposing them as demonic warnings or protective talismans. The famous medieval tale, legend of La Gargoyle, a dragon-like creature that terrorized the town of Rouen. It was said to breathe fire, eat villagers, and flood the town with its river-like breath. Saint Romanus defeated it, and its head was mounted on the church, unable to be burned due to divine intervention. This tale is one origin of the gargoyle myth. Gargoyles sit at the intersection of myth, function, and faith. As architectural wonders, they protected the structures of man. As mythological figures, they protected the souls of those within. Whether you see them as monsters, protectors, or rain gutters with personality, their legacy is carved deeply into stone, and even deeper into our imaginations. But what if I were to tell you that the myth of the gargoyle comes from something much more darker, before faith, maybe even before humans? Tucked behind the crimson glow of neon windows and the hum of late-night bicycles, there's an alley in Amsterdam few dare enter after midnight. Rozenstraat Street, one of the oldest streets in the city. It's known for its red light district flair, but the locals whisper of one narrow, shadow-choked offshoot, nicknamed The End. Local girls work there, the kind who don't fit the polished tourist facade. Young, sometimes bruised, beautiful but resilient. They say the alley has a protector, something ancient, something with wings. And lately, too many bodies had turned up near the mouth of the end. Tourists, Johns, and pimps with broken necks, torn throats, and claw marks that no animal could make. The local police chalked it up to gang violence, but they knew better. Whispers made their way to the deeper level of the government, all the way to my great Uncle Sam's elite Black Forces squad, Team 7734. The most secretive and highly decorated reconnaissance team trained to investigate anomalous murders with patterns tied to unnatural and paranormal origins. If the X-Files had an Avenger squad, my great Uncle Sam would be its leader. Their mission? Track, tag, and monitor the area for 48 hours. There were rumors of non-human entities, disappearances, part removals with surgical precision, pulses of seismic energy under the ground, directly beneath the alley. Unexplainable. The local girls who worked the alley, they wouldn't speak, not directly, but they always nodded toward a crumbling Gothic statue above the alley arch. A horned, winged beast with hollow eyes and a half snarl that always seemed to shift its expression. My great Uncle Sam had called upon Sergeant Perez and Sergeant Hollywood as his backups. On this investigation, Hollywood, high on coffee and nerves, he flew a thermal drone up to the stone beast at midnight. He was sure they wouldn't capture anything except a few pigeon nests and maybe even some bats. But what he ended up capturing should have been impossible. The gargoyle's chest radiated with warmth, looked almost as if it was breathing. Hollywood muttered, "Boss, I think we've got movement." Perez tucked her shoulder-length hair into a tight ponytail, and she could feel it before she saw it. The shiver underneath the earth, the faint sobbing from one of the girls, and then the scream. She spun around in silence, but ready for action. All three rushed to the alley's end. A man, bleeding, drunk, had pinned a young woman against the bricks, knife at her throat. My uncle raised his weapon just as the man turned. But it was too late. A thunderous crack shook the alley. Dust rained from the arch, and the gargoyle was now gone. From the pitch-black rooftops above, it dropped. 10 feet tall, its stone limbs moved like muscle and shadow fused. Its eyes glowed molten gold, and its teeth gleamed with fresh blood. The man didn't get a scream out. Clawed arms dragged him up the side of the building in a matter of horrifying seconds. Moments later, his body fell in chunks, raining down on the shocked eyewitnesses below. The team stood frozen. The girl vanished into the shadows, whispering a thank you to the beast as it returned to its perch. My great-uncle Sam broke his silence. "I don't think this is a demon. It's more of a sentry. A protector." Perez nodded, and something inside told her. It's bound to them, to the girls, to the alley. It feels like old magic, blood magic. Hollywood shook his head. "You know I hate that shit." Perez ignored him and turned toward my Uncle Sam. He quickly lit a flare and tossed it to the feet of the statue. At first, there was no movement. Then suddenly, the gargoyle blinked. Only once. Then turned back to stone. My uncle's team called for immediate evac. They left with no samples, no engagement. The file was marked inconclusive, do not disturb. An unofficial addendum, handwritten by my great uncle, read as follows: "It's not evil. It's a guardian. A brutal one, yes. But in a world that forgets the forgotten, something still remembers, and thankfully protects them. One broken body at a time." As a team, they never went back. But my great uncle Sam, he did. Call it curiosity, call it bad intentions. But he returned to the Rosenstraat alleyway. And when he reached the stone statue, still locked in place above the arch, he looked up at it and waited. And when it didn't move, he removed a handgun from the back of his belt. It dangled at his side for a moment as he waited patiently. Still nothing. So he shrugged, pointed his weapon towards the nearby wall, and fired twice. The shots echoed down the alley. Still nothing. The gargoyle just stared on blankly. He huffed, scratched his head, and said, "Okay, you don't want to come out tonight." And just at that moment, at the end of the alleyway, one of the local girls had popped out from the shadows to see where the gunshots had come from. She looked terrified, but curiously interested. My uncle looked at her, then up at the gargoyle. Stupidly, he raised his weapon up in the direction of the young girl, not pointed directly at her, but just enough for the fantastic stone beast to awaken. In a blink of an eye, it had leapt from the archway, landing between my uncle and the girl at the end of the alley. Its chest heaved, its eyes glowing with an inner fire, and its stone teeth preparing to rip into my great Uncle Sam's throat. He placed a hand in the air and threw the weapon to the ground and slowly nodded towards the creature. I'm not here to harm them or you. I just wanted to know why. The gargoyle took a step forward. It felt as if the ground shook as it did, its wings outstretched behind it, blocking any view of the alleyway. In this moment, it was only my great uncle and the beast. The beast leaned down, pressing its monstrous face into the forehead of my great Uncle Sam and quickly inhaled his scent. My uncle took a step backwards, and one of its giant claws grabbed onto his shoulder, locking him in place. The gargoyle amazingly growled, "Leave." My uncle looked up into its immortal eyes and unflinchingly asked the gargoyle, "Why do you do this? How long have you been here?" The gargoyle let go of his arm and said, "My curse is forever, and I shall never let an innocent be harmed on my eternal watch." Its body radiated with new heat and seemed to quiver as if it was done talking. Its giant clawed toes dug into the asphalt below, readying itself to attack my uncle if he did not retreat. Sam shook his head in understanding and said, "I understand. No one will bother you ever again." He quickly knelt down, picked up his weapon, and turned and walked the other way. The gargoyle didn't move and watched him as he disappeared down the opposite end of the alley. But just before my uncle disappeared, he looked over his shoulder and smiled, and he whispered, "Keep up the good work." And even though my uncle always wanted to return just to see if anything had changed, he knew the government would keep tabs on this one mysterious alleyway. What he did know was true was the girls of the night still walk that alley, heads high, seemingly unafraid, under the watch of an ancient, deadly stone angel with blood beneath its claws and an immortal justice in its heart. All right, gardeners. I loved this episode. This was one of the files I wished was longer and had more details in it. But I think my great Uncle Sam and the rest of the team kept this file vague and as unremarkable as possible. The less eyes that saw this, the less chance that alley would be visited again. Now, I've gotten a few emails from people who grew up with gargoyles and different ornamental beings in places they lived or in the cities they grew up in. And there always seems to be some kind of mysterious tale that follows that. So I'm hoping someone else will hear this episode and will share with me any of their experiences with gargoyles. I can be reached at my email of pbgharvest@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you. Join me again next time when we uncover a file of one of the most mysterious creatures ever. And it just might be my favorite myth from the Lotus files. Be here next time when we uncover the secret of Boxcar Ellie. As always, I'm your host, Michael. You've been listening to Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. Season 3, The Lotus Files. And dear listeners, always remember, monsters are real, but sometimes they're a deadly justice.